Hello there, this is Rick Nielsen from Business Learning Systems and eLearning Radio. And in this episode of the Trivanis podcast, I'm going to provide you with some design tool tips and tricks that I think will help you leverage Lectora Inspire when designing an e-learning application. And one of the great strengths of Inspire, as I've mentioned before, is its flexibility. While designing a custom course can be really challenging, Lectora comes with a bunch of subtle features that lighten the burden a bit. So let's spend some time exploring some of these features and how I use them when developing an e-learning application. First of all, let's quickly review the Title Explorer and the property panels. And if you've used Lectora Inspire at all, then you're familiar with the Title Explorer and the property panels. But let's cover some basics just the same. There's really quite a bit to them. If you want to remove or show the Explorer or property panels, you can right-click either at the top or the bottom of the Lectora interface and turn them on and off. And you can either auto-hide them or you can pin them into position. And if you're not in auto-hide mode, you can dock the panels wherever you want in Lectora by clicking on the panel's blue title bar and dragging it to one of the arrows at the top of the interface, at the bottom, the right, the left, or you can float the panel anywhere you want on the screen. Then you can just size the panels to fit your immediate need. And you can also tab both the Explorer and property panels on the same part of the screen. And you can do this by left-clicking and dragging one of the panels' title bar to the other panel's title bar, and then just releasing it. And then you can just toggle back and forth between the two windows. And being a Westerner, I think left to right. And so, generally speaking, I have my basic design, like the Title Explorer on the left and the detail or properties on the right. But given a particular situation, you can change it up on the fly. And if you, for instance, want to see your full page view, you could drag the properties panel down to the bottom and you'd have a little bit easier time of seeing both of them and your screen. A couple more notes on the Title Explorer. First of all, the Title Explorer allows you to create content on the fly by copying and pasting existing objects and sequence objects wherever you want them in the hierarchy. So it's a very powerful feature. And you can also show and hide objects while designing, and at the same time, you have no effect on the output. And here are a couple notes on the property panel. You can dynamically view properties of any object by just selecting it. So unlike some other applications, no additional effort is needed, and you can just move through objects one at a time, looking at their properties without a whole lot of effort. With one exception, the Properties window will populate with a Lectora object automatically, but not, say, a text object that you create. To do that, you need to turn off auto-hide. So if auto-hide's turned on, sometimes you won't be able to see something automatically. Now let's move on to grids, the ruler, and guides. These three tools work together to provide you with some powerful tools. You can snap to grids, and you can also snap to guides by turning these features on in the View menu. So once you do that, you really have some nice capabilities. So first of all, let's talk about the grid. The grid allows you to more easily balance and slice up your screen and works great when laying out a project. And you can turn it on and off by using the keyboard combination Control-G. Next is the ruler, and you can enable the ruler by pressing the keyboard combination Control-R. And the ruler shows you the screen segmented in pixels and provides you with a way to more accurately measure the distance and size of objects when doing a preliminary layout. And you need to have the ruler enabled in order to use guides. So let's move on to the guide. And what the guide does is it allows you to more easily set up guidelines on your page on the fly. So it assists you even further when lining up text and graphics and just kind of getting a general idea and feel for where things are on the screen and where you want them on the screen, such as titles and menus, rows, columns, and so forth. And you can turn guides off and on by using the keyboard combination Control E. And note that if you turn guides off, and there are guides that have been previously dropped on the page, they're still there when you turn the guides back on. So it's kind of nice. You can toggle it on and off, and that way you can kind of see where you're at. You can turn it back on and then just continue on. All you need to do to use a guide is just to drag and drop guides from either the vertical or horizontal ruler to wherever you want them on the screen. And you can get rid of a guide when you don't need it any longer by just hitting the Control key and then selecting the guide and then just dragging it off the screen. So that's really all there is to it between the grid, the ruler, and the guides. And they really are quite a trio. Once you get used to them, I think you're going to find, or you're going to ask yourself how you ever got along without them. So here are a few miscellaneous tips. Don't forget about zoom in and zoom out. To zoom in and out on your workspace, all you need to do is use the Control space bar to zoom in and the Alt space bar to zoom out. So that's a real nice feature. Now, obviously the grid, the ruler, and the guides are for rough cut work. And then you can use the alignment tools to shore things up. And these are up on the button bar. And I actually did a previous episode that was completely devoted to these tools. But experiment with the alignment and positioning tools on the bar. They're really lethal, so don't forget about those. On to the next tip. If you have multiple items selected, or one item, it really doesn't matter, and you want to just move them a little bit, the best way to nudge objects is to zoom in by using your Control space bar, and then select the objects you want to move, and then just nudge them with the arrow keys. And that's about the best way that I have found to really just move things in a real granular way. So we've covered quite a bit here, really. We've gone over both the Explorer and Property panels. We've talked some about grids, rulers, and guides. And we've discussed the zoom in and zoom out feature. Don't forget the positioning options and tools on the button bar. And finally, the best way to nudge objects. So there you have it, some of my favorite Lectora Inspire design features that hopefully make your project work just a little bit more enjoyable.